Think about a place you know where things slowly disappeared. Not all at once. Not with a loud ending. But year by year. A factory closes. A shift ends. A building sits empty. People leave. And those who stay begin to feel something heavy but hard to name. It is not just sadness. It is a feeling of power slipping away. A feeling that decisions are made somewhere else. A feeling that work is something that comes to you or leaves you, but never something you shape. Many communities have lived inside this feeling for generations. When industries extract value and then move on, they do not only take jobs. They take confidence. They take imagination. They take the belief that staying can be a choice instead of a trap. This is the context where the idea of rebuilding must begin. Not with money. Not with big promises. But with people asking themselves a quiet question. What power do we still have? And how do we use it without hurting ourselves or the land we live on? The first insight is the surface concept. When work leaves a place, it leaves more than empty buildings. It leaves a gap in identity. For a long time, people knew who they were because of what they made. Textiles. Goods. Materials. Skills passed down. When that work vanished, the story of the place became about loss. About what used to be there. About what was taken. And when your story is only about loss, it is hard to imagine growth. You begin to see the economy as something distant. Something too big to touch. Something controlled by others. This creates paralysis. People want change but do not know where to start. How do you change an economy when you feel small inside it? How do you fight forces that seem global and unstoppable? Many people respond by leaving. Others stay but feel stuck. They stay because of family. Because of land. Because of love. But not because of opportunity. And that difference matters. Staying by force drains you. Staying by choice gives you strength. The second insight is the hidden assumption that keeps people stuck. We assume the economy is something separate from us. Something abstract. Something managed by experts far away. We forget that an economy is made of choices. Choices about what we buy. What we make. Who we work with. Who we support. When work was centralized in large factories, power felt centralized too. When those factories left, the idea of power left with them. But power does not disappear. It shifts. It waits. It can hide in small actions. In relationships. In networks. In cooperation. The hidden assumption is that small efforts do not matter. That if you cannot replace a whole industry, you should not try at all. But this assumption is wrong. Small efforts matter most when they connect. One small shop alone struggles. 10 small shops sharing resources begin to breathe. 100 small producers working together begin to look like an ecosystem. Not big in one place. Big because of connection. This is where the idea of being big by being small together becomes important. It changes the scale of imagination. You stop asking how do we bring back the past. You start asking how do we build something new with what we have now. The third insight is the structural pattern that makes renewal possible. Extraction economies work by pulling value out. They take raw materials, labor, skill, and send profit elsewhere. Rooted economies work differently. They keep value moving locally. They circulate work. They invest in people. They grow slowly but stay longer. This requires a shift in how success is measured. Not only by speed. Not only by growth curves. But by durability. By care. By the health of workers. By the health of land. By whether wealth stays close to home. When production is broken into smaller parts across a region, resilience increases. If one part struggles, others support it. Skills are shared. Waste is reduced. Materials are reused. Something as simple as upcycling old shirts becomes an act of resistance against waste and extraction. It says we can make value from what already exists. We do not need to wait for permission. We do not need to destroy to create. This pattern also changes how people feel about work. Work becomes relational again. You know who you are working with. You know who benefits. You see the impact of your effort. This rebuilds dignity. It rebuilds pride. It rebuilds trust. The reframing comes here. Economic power does not only live in boardrooms or markets. It lives in communities that decide to act together. When people remember that they are part of the economy, not just subjects of it, something shifts. The economy stops being an abstract force and becomes a shared project. This does not mean everyone must start a business. It means everyone has a role. Workers have power. Buyers have power. Neighbors have power. Staying becomes an act of creation instead of resignation. And environmental care stops being a luxury. It becomes a necessity. Because when you plan to stay, you plan to protect. You plan for the long term. You do not burn what you need tomorrow. Making things that do not hurt the environment is not only ethical. It is practical. It keeps communities alive. It keeps costs down. It keeps health up. It keeps options open for the next generation. The application to daily life begins with remembering connection. If you live in a place that has lost work, notice what still exists. Skills. Buildings. Materials. People who want to stay. Ask simple questions. What do we already have? What waste could become resource? Who could collaborate instead of compete? Even outside manufacturing, these ideas apply. Local food networks. Repair shops. Shared spaces. Training programs. Worker support systems. None of these solve everything. But together they build momentum. They replace hopelessness with motion. For individuals, this also changes how you see your choices. Where you spend money matters. Who you support matters. How you treat workers matters. When you buy local, you keep value nearby. When you support businesses that care for people and land, you strengthen a different model. You become part of the story, not just an observer. For workers, being supported means more than wages. It means training, voice, stability, a sense that your work contributes to something bigger than survival. When support systems exist, people take risks. They innovate. They stay. They build families. They invest emotionally. This creates a feedback loop of growth that is slow but real. Optional deepening helps us see the emotional side. Powerlessness is not only economic. It is psychological. When people feel they have no say, they disengage. They stop imagining. They stop believing effort matters. Rebuilding an economy is also about rebuilding belief. Belief that staying can be brave. Belief that small actions add up. Belief that work can be honorable and sustainable at the same time. When people choose to stay because they want to, not because they have no exit, a place changes. Energy changes. Conversations change. The future feels open again. This does not deny the past. It honors it by refusing to repeat it. It says we learned what extraction costs. We learned what happens when decisions are made elsewhere. Now we choose differently. We choose rooted wealth. Shared power. Care for workers. Care for land. This story is not only about one region. It is about any place that has been told it does not matter. Any place that has been used and left. The lesson is simple but demanding. We are part of the economy whether we remember it or not. Forgetting that gives power away. Remembering it brings power home. So as you think about your own community, your own work, your own choices, you might pause and ask yourself, where could power be reclaimed simply by remembering that you belong to the economy and not just to its outcomes?